Alright, so today's video, we're going to be watching a Gold 3 support on PC playing Illari and Juno. So, some good characters there. And they say this was a very frustrating game where it felt like I basically had a whole team of feeders. Oh, okay. Okay, so they're saying that the feeders were my DPS and other support. So the tank wasn't feeding? Okay. We had a weird team dynamic where it felt like chaos just happening all over the map. And I just felt overwhelmed with where I could be useful. The stats show that we simply got dominated, but I'd love to know what else I could have done to try to give my team a boost. The only swap I can think of that may have helped would have been Zen to level the Roadhog's mirror with discords. Not sure there was anything I could really have done to help my DPS, since they were just off dying on their own away from everybody else. Would love to know your thoughts on what I could have done to make more of a difference, or if my teammates were just dooming this game from the start. Thanks. Love all the content. Keep up the good work. All right. Well, let's have some fun here. All right, so I can already tell you right now, your setup spot, remind me next time I see a Numbani to start to track where the setup shifts on Numbani. And the reason why I'm asking this question is because, like, normally in top 500, and again, that's why I go based off of rank when I talk about videos, but I also talk about what it will become. At a certain point, players will start to set up here and over here. And the reason why you do that is because it's a lot harder for the attacking team to be able to win a team fight when you're set up on these angles, right? They have to either take high ground, they have to go low ground, they have to run it down mid. It just gives them an extra 15 seconds of having to clear stuff out. It's just always interesting when, like, I'm watching the setups happen here where it's just in the middle of the road. And, like, basically it just gives you one and done. That's it. It's a one and done team fight usually in these situations. So it's just, I'm going to start to keep track of, like, maybe that'll be something to do in the future, is start to look at, like, each rank and how the maps are played and where the setups are at, so I can start to really break down the advice based off of how I see that. So maybe I'll start to keep that in mind on some of these maps. That pylon's a little bit ambitious. You're also standing still in the middle of the open here, so I want you to be a little bit careful of, like, I know I always talk about doing damage on a Illari. Do not wide peek this because the hawk can hook you. I'd prefer to see you play a little bit safer until everything's figured out, but you're not, your team is not setting you up in the best spot here. I'm just saying that much. So we'll see how this goes. Like, see what just happened to your Zenyatta? That's what I was afraid of happening to you. Okay, straight up, like, you were talking about how, you know, your DPS were feeding and, like, this was happening. I'm gonna be real with you. That was just a team effort loss right there. That setup was rough, where your team was set up. Everybody kept wide swinging towards their team. You were doing the same thing, and then because you held so close, did exactly what we talked about. Well, not exactly what we talked about, but they did the thing where they just went and took the other part of the map, and then it was over, right? So that's why I'm like, hopefully eventually we can get the setup on Numbani to be a little bit better. And again, I know that utilizing high ground isn't necessarily utilized in a lot of ranks, but, like, I feel like Numbani, we can start to teach a little bit more of, like, why it's better to get the team to play back. In that situation, unless your team fully rolled them every single team fight, you were eventually going to get grinded down there. And, like, banking on your team to win every single team fight based off of your setup position there, that's a really hard ask. So, like, yeah, you can talk about everybody's, like, feet in there and doing this and that, but that was a team effort team. There was no individual on that situation was at fault outside of just the team. The way where your team set up, that's what happened. And, like, you're like, oh, my Onron was going in and feeding. No, your Onron was going in and working with what was possible on the flank. And that's how you have to play Onron. But everybody's playing so close up, you're going to lose some value. Again, this is the same problem. It's like, your Sigma's up front, right? Like, and I'm just telling you right now, Illari is one of the few heroes that I think I can recommend to consistently go high ground because you have a lot of self-sustain. And what I mean by that is you could go up here, right? Go up these stairs during this, like, the retake situation. Go here. Have a pylon set up behind you at an angle. You can put it up over here, actually, if you want to play it safe. Have a pylon set up over here. Now you have a full vantage point. You can help your teammates, and you can watch out for the flanks. But instead, like, you're just defaulting to the same pathing, going low ground. Like, look at, like, you're just going down here. You're basically following the line to the cart, and that's it. Like, there's nothing else happening. So this isn't even like a teammates thing. This is just your team is kind of running at them in a straight line and then hoping for the best. And when you do that, this is what happens. You're going to have games that are just inconsistent. If you look at the actual stat line, your teammates are doing damage. It's pretty even, you know, for the most part. you're doing heal and you're doing damage, but like it's not. There's just not much happening. And like I think you said your tank switches to Roadhog. I think it's because of the lack of like heals your team's gonna have. You're running a Yari Zen, so like. Anyway, we'll see. So far though, a very rough start. A very rough start. Remember that high noon can see you. All right, I gotta pause again, man. This is a pauser today. The high noon's gonna be able to kill you there. Like nothing was gonna change with the high noon because they were right in front of you. So in that situation, this goes back to playing cover. Now I know that I talk about playing cover a lot, and I do it for good reason. It is very important in Overwatch. So you play here, you play the corner, and you go back and forth like this. That's it. See, this is a safe spot, but you keep running to the middle of the open. This is why I talk about it all the time. You don't want to default your positioning to basically being right here. Do you see? Like you're doing the same default thing. It's basically like you see these lines on the ground and you are following them. Think about all of your setup spot. You are here, right? Let's go all the way back here, right? Follow the lines. You are here, okay? You don't have to play this part of the map. This line here is just, it's just there because it's trying to make a street. See? You know, one side of the road. But you keep going down the middle of that over and over again. That's always going to result in the same thing if your teammates aren't able to get the kills right away. And again, that's not because your teammates are bad. It's because your team is just setting up in a spot that is basically asking for these duels. They're not guaranteed. So that's how you get snowballed and how you would lose these team fights. So like you can kind of like try to blame your teammates all day long or talk about how they weren't playing well or because you were doomed because of what they were doing. But like the thing is that you even mentioned that your tank wasn't doing that, but your tank is the one going to the setups that are in the middle of the open. So the point I'm making is there's a lot more happening here than just, oh, my DPS are feeding and so is my other support. Right now, truthfully, y'all have all been feeding. Everybody here has been feeding the whole time. All right? Do I recommend moving the pylon often? Here's my take on the pylon. As long as they can't kill it and it's in a good spot, you should be fine. Also, do you notice how their team went up to you and fed? That's what that your team was doing. But I would say you don't necessarily have to move it often. I've had games where no one can kill my pylon, and I don't need to move it because what's the point of moving it if no one's killing it, right? So as long as they can't kill it, or like this is a good spot, I'd say, right? The reason why this is I would recommend going a little bit higher on this spot, just slightly higher. A good pylon spot is if they have to go out here, turn the corner, and then look up to kill your pylon, it's probably a good pylon. I just want the pylon a little bit higher because I just want it to like not get killed, but like it looks like it's kind of working. So I'm gonna leave it there. Hit it with the leaves, yes. They might just think it's sun. But anyway, the point being, as long as they look up when you're going around a corner to go for your pylon, like that is already doing, that's pulling pressure away from your team is all I'm getting at. And anything I've seen in a lot of ranks, they won't even kill the pylon. It will just stay there until the team fight's over. So we'll see. Anyway. Yep. This pylon, I get concerned because it's a little bit too far up. So I would place your pylon now. Like change your pylon now. There you go. I would have done it even sooner because if I'm correct, the moment the pylon starts to take damage, you can't place it anywhere else. You can get rid of it to start the cooldown early, but it would still be a long cooldown to replace your pylon. So that's one thing that, just to make sure you're doing as a Yari, is almost predict when they're going to be coming to the spot where your pylon is, so that way you can place it down. That way you can place your pylon down a little bit ahead of time, so that way it doesn't activate the cooldown. The lack of using high ground. I mean, I will say and this is a good ultimate. I do like this. Great ultimate location. Nice shot. Good play. One thing I will say is third point Nabani is a tough high ground spot. Now, granted, I do think it's good for the attack and defense. There you go, utilizing your cooldowns. I do think it's very important to have at least one person on each side trying to control this part of the map. But I'm not trying to like get things too advanced sometimes. But if you want to like know, okay, let's say I'm in a top 500 game and you're having problems getting like just through here, definitely send at least one person up here to take a duel. Generally what's better is to actually have like 3 be down here, kind of play to live, you know, pick up a pick if like somebody's getting too aggressive. And then in the meantime, have 2 people go up here. So that way, if they only have 1, you win the 2v1. If there is 2 people up here, you can utilize this. Then you kind of like, you know, can kind of end up in this really cool spot against them. it's harder to get that to be done without the players down here getting rolled immediately. So that's why I try not to overcomplicate it based off of the rank I'm watching. Does that make sense? But like, I do think I still add that, like, those notes when I'm watching occasionally. And I think that's a spot where, just showing you where third point high ground can be utilized. It's a very weird high ground because you can't see each other in a lot of team fights, but having control of that part of the map goes a long way. So pylon needs to be moved now. Great job. There's the Mizuki ult. Still waiting. That's a high noon. That's an ambitious high noon. Granted, though, that was nice of your hog. So, like, you really wanted to leave your tank out of this, but I just want to point out, your tank hooked the Roadhog during ultimate, and then got pushed off the map. So, that hog ult probably wouldn't have done that prior, because, so, pylon, no. Okay, I'll leave that there for now. The reason why I don't want the pylon there is because I think it would have been better to have it on the left side for you, and then let the Mizuki keep your Cassidy alive. Like, if everything was perfect here, you have your Mizuki and your Cassidy on this angle, and your Mizuki can basically keep the Cassidy alive, and then you keep your pylon over here to self-heal yourself, and then also help with the Roadhog, and then you have kind of like this really cool split setup. That's why I said no with that pylon, but the Mizuki ends up running into the middle of the open, and the pylon ends up working out. So, you know, sometimes it just goes that way. Just to kind of give you an idea on that pylon, because I think it's going to be important to have right now, and you're not going to have it up for like 10 seconds, is like, if your hog is that low, your pylon's not going to save them at that point. So you're going to want to use your right-click heals to be able to keep them alive. That's just a good ultimate there from the Emre. Yeah, I mean, I will say, your Onron does have a high death count. And I think, like, what's happening there with the high death count on Onron is they're doing what they're supposed to do. Like the Onron player is going for flanks. It's just the team isn't doing that, so the Onron needs to... Like, this is a little bit of a note for Onron players, because I've had this happen before, too. If your team doesn't have any map control ever, but you want to play Onron, you can go to a more of a Cassidy-based positioning for a little bit. Not the whole time, but you can. A little bit more, you know, forward, like, kind of forward positioning. You know, a couple of extra, like, plays here and there you're going to make. What I'm getting at with Onron is, like, you could play here. You don't have to go for the flanks, right? Like, you don't have to go for the flanks. Like, I'm just going to the assumption that they're an Onron one trick, right? You know, that's where I'm going in here with that one. If you're an Onron, don't be afraid to just kind of play with your team if your team isn't taking the map control in the space that you need to work with. Third point, Namani's pretty rough there for that anyway. You have to play in Mask. Mask is the room. Mask is going to be this room. I always call it Mask. I'll show you why. So this is right here. There's masks in this room. See? So this is a room you call Mask. Like, you could play here as Onron, I would say pretty safely. But the point is, you don't need to be back here trying to force plays. You could just be, like, right here. And just, like, see what I'm saying? So then what you would do is you would spam this, and then you would go up the stairs to kind of survive. Keep in mind, there's also a doorway here, too, that you can utilize to kind of do some early flanks. See? Anyway. I know this isn't an Onron VOD, but hey, might as well show some stuff there for Onron, you know? Because Onron's still fairly new. Okay, let's say your tacos. Surely nobody will run it down middle. Oh, here we go. Right down mid. There we go. Yeah, you're all over the place. Like this is... Everybody's going everywhere now. So what needs to happen is your team needs to reset and you need to go left side. You're going to have to go left side on this one. Okay, don't go down middle. Just go left side. You don't even have to go up the high ground. Just take the coast side. It's actually a lot better than people expect now in Namani since they made the changes. Even their team's playing a little bit further back, which is nice, you know? Okay, you got to go for the right clicks with... Yep, there it is. Okay. Now remember, your speed ring will help utilize your Roadhog to go in, so don't be afraid to... All right, this is the next note I'm going to give to Juno players. When you use your Juno speed ring, you'll benefit from it no matter what. So the reason why I would maybe give it to like Roadhog on the right side is allowing the Roadhog to get more utility from it, and you'll still benefit from when you initially use it. if you look, when you threw this down on the ground, it felt like you were just using it for yourself for the initial part. So what you don't want to do is just do that. Like, you kind of put it in the middle here. You know, utilize it for your teammates too. I see some Junos waste that, and like speed boost is underutilized in a lot of ranks. Like we used to see this with Lucio. Your speed ring is kind of the same, right? So I would recommend a little bit better of a play spot. You know, whether it's like right here, whether it's in the middle, somewhere like that is all I'm getting at. It's not even that they're relying on the torpedoes way too much, but I do think you have to take into account sometimes if you're going up against an Ashe. I think they're trying to be too proactive with it. Like, for example, remember back here when you had like 100 HP and you started like right-clicking? Like, I would have been okay if you went and grabbed the health pack and then went and right-clicked then. So it's a hard balance, though, because I do like when players are proactive with it, but sometimes you can be too proactive with it. And I've noticed a few times you're not like looking at your HP, but that's a small note. That's the least of my worries. Like, that's the least of my worries of like the Juno play thus far. Nice shot. Okay, everything seems fine for now. Look at your teammate. Just one more scan just to make sure everybody's good. Everybody's good. You're fine now. Okay. I'm okay with that right click of the torpedoes. There you go. But when they're saying relying on torpedoes, I think they're saying that they're just like using it on cooldown, is I think was what that meant to be, right? As in like, it's like you're just using the right click every time it's up type of situation. I think that was what was being referenced more than it was like relying too heavily on just like keeping somebody alive, for example. I don't think that's what's happening. I think it's more along the lines of just like making sure you time it correctly, but I mean, I'm okay with that play. I do that sometimes though when I get rolled, but like, again, I'm also watching based off of the rank. Juno ultimate was okay. It's kind of a weird ult. It goes so slow. Now, there is a hog. Okay, there's their. Yeah, you're all. I'm gonna be real with you. One thing you need to do is you need to learn to like settle a little bit in these team fights in general. You're not like, you go a little bit too DPS heavy when your teammates need to be at least scanned for a second. Again, I'm guilty of that sometimes too when I'm playing support, so it's something that I'm trying to learn myself is like, you want to fight a bunch of damage output, but when a team fight is breaking out, that is where the difference of like an extra like heal on your Roadhog in that situation can make or break the next team fight. I want to talk about this right here. You got away with this play, but I want you to be careful of trying to wait for that second target on the Juno like torpedo. Again, this is a mistake I would make on Juno, as people saw during my 70 games I had a play of the game video. Which, by the way, people are asking me when's the got all my support play of the games stuff being done. Right now, I think that video is going to be out mid-March, just so you know. Okay, we finished it back in like December, but we had a lot of stuff come up with Overwatch videos. So just to give people an idea, that video will be out around mid-March of the I got play of the game on every support. Okay, it was a journey, by the way. But anyway, what's I'm going to say, like, if you were sitting up in the air here and like you're trying to wait for that other target, like in some ranks, even in gold, there was going to be an opportunity for this Ashe to get a kill on you. Thankfully, your Cassidy didn't even look at them. Look at this. Look at this. Cassidy, look at this is, you know, I don't know too much about Aura, but this is it. Look at this Cassidy right here. This is like, look at him. Not even looking at him, gets 3. Point being though, thankfully your teammate makes a big play, but you could easily go down there based off of what I was seeing, and I'm trying to get you out of the habit of making those type of plays, is all I'm getting at. Anyway, let's head back to the Juno. They also torpedo then out. Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of a note. I agree that's a good sequence, yes. Someone pointed out to, what the heck was that on the animation? Someone pointed out to make sure that you're using torpedoes with your ultimate. That could be a good thing. A little bit of a note. I always mention this in my videos too. I know it's been a pause one. I'm totally fine with if you notice something I don't notice, put it in the comments. Just be good about it. Don't get angry at people with it. Just be like, oh, I noticed this too. People put that in the comments. I've never had problems with that. Knowledge is awesome. And if you have something I missed during a VOD or anything like that, just you know, it's okay if you post it. Just make sure you just don't be a dick. Sound good? That was on you. You went way too far up. Yes, your teammates are further back and should be up there too, but play at the pace of your team. You mentioned a lot about how your teammates are feeding, and don't get me wrong. I know your Onron has, like, initially had a lot of deaths, and I think that's just a playstyle adjustment, so I will agree there was a bit of feeding. One thing I'll say, though, is, like, this has been a team effort feed. No one, including yourself, has been safe from the feed. Y'all have all been feeding. I've seen you have multiple moments where you get picked off early because of your positioning. I think this is one of these games where I hope that you're noticing that while it felt like it was just your teammates feeding and making all these incorrect plays, that everybody's doing this. And this is why I say one of the best things you can do in these type of games is focus on what you can control. And like what you can control in this is how you're playing, your positioning, where you're going, how you're setting up. Also, look at the Roadhog taking the high ground here. I do like this. I don't like you jumping down here. I don't think it's worth being where you're at now. Yep. You see what I mean? And you didn't even mention your tank during the feed-in part, but like your tank went in there aggressively, jumped down, got hooked down, and then rather than you be like, well, sorry, I can't really help with this, or you stay up on the high ground to keep him alive, you don't do that, and then look where we're at. Do you see what I'm saying? So like, this is why I want you to like, I'm pausing a lot because I want to kind of show you that this isn't as clear-cut as, oh, was I doomed because of my teammates at the beginning? If you watch the video, have you noticed that this has just been everybody's doing it? It's not just the players you were hard focused on doing it. That's why it's important to like sometimes look at a game like this where everybody's just all over the place. Everybody's like doing these like type of, you know, goofy plays and running over here, running over there, spamming a cooldown, doing whatever. The point I'm making is that you yourself have been doing all the other stuff that you said your teammates are doing, and that the one thing that you can control out of all of that is you cleaning up your gameplay, and maybe that becomes make or break. Maybe you stay in the high ground there. Maybe it gets you a free kill. See how these team fights can just change like that? So be the rock for your team at that point, right? Be the player that will be consistent with your positioning, will go to the right spots, and maybe that gives your teammates trust that you're going to keep them alive too, right? There's a lot of stuff that can happen in games that can shift really quickly. I do like you going for the high ground here with your hog, though. This is a good play, believe it or not. Like, I do like this. But I also want you to think about this during the time. While you're Roadhog and you were going for that high ground, your teammates also have to deal with the damage-boosted, like, long-range snipers. So going back to, like, what I talked about with the teammates feeding, etc., some of this isn't even your teammates are, like, necessarily hard feeding. It's that, like, there's no one there to help them while they're trying to gain the space that needs to be gained. So maybe there's a communication aspect of like, hey, we're going to go take high ground. Wait a second before we peak. I know it's in gold, but I'm trying to get you into good habits early. That's going to be something you need to do in the future of... Okay, so let's talk about this Juno ultimate. Okay, so let me give you an idea here. So Juno ultimate's very slow. It's a very slow ultimate. In fact, I wouldn't doubt it if one day they make it go faster. Not saying they will, but I think there's a chance it could go faster at one point, right? Here's the thing, is that if it's really far away, the only saving grace of this one would have been if Cassidy was with you and then high nooned, right? Cassidy wasn't with you. Therefore, you want to wait a little bit closer to their team so that way they can't disengage it freely and you just win a team fight for free. There's no honor to deal with this. The only you know, scary part for your team is going to be a Discord orb or like, but like, you just kind of wasted your Juno ult. Like, there's no reason to use it like that early when they're this far back, right? You would want to use it like when they start to go, okay, we need to stop the cart, right? Then when they're forced backwards, they don't have as much cover to back up into. Now you have a burst of damage that could just basically win a team fight, even through his Zenyatta ultimate, right? You gotta remember. So for anybody new to Overwatch or returning, you know, hasn't played in a while, there's a passive in the game now that when you do damage to them, it reduces healing. So even through a Zenyatta ultimate, you could, in theory, out-damage a Zenyatta ultimate, right? Because it's going to be 30% reduced healing on everybody that's shot by anybody, and then 15% on the tank. Remember, with tanks, it's 15% because they, you know, otherwise it'd be impossible for a tank to survive. So there's a lot of things I want you to think about of this step-by-step process of, this is the moment, in my opinion, right, where I think you could have won this whole part of the map, right here, right now. That's like a song, I know. You could have won it right here. But instead, you waste your ultimate, and now your teammates are going to be in an okay position spot, but now you're going to have to deal with a Bob. Now you're going to have to deal with a Zen ultimate. And unless your Roadhog can finesse the Bob off the map, ain't going to happen, right? So, awesome. So your Cassidy gets the kill. You lose your Cassidy, though, because of that. The Roadhog runs it down mid, and you die. There you go. So a wasted Juno ultimate into a high noon that gets rezzed, and everybody dies there. But you were saying your DPS are the ones that are feeding? Team effort feed. A lot of deaths on your Mizuki, that's for sure. Definitely high death count. Not going to win that duel. Just get rid of the now Discord orb. Oh, another note for players, remember? Sorry, I'm giving a lot of information, but what I've learned is a lot of new players to Overwatch, so I think that some of these videos might get a little bit more information heavy, and yes, some of it's going to be very basic information. Zenyatta Discord orb. You can line of sight it now. So if you just returned after, you know, a few years, it used to be a Discord orb somebody, you can reapply it. Now there's a bit of counterplay. I think it's 6 seconds in between. So if you get Discord Orb, hide behind a wall, let it drop off. Now you have 6 seconds. All right, there you go. I just wanted to kind of like just give players that, you know, that remember you can outplay the orb a little bit more nowadays, which is nice. I do like the counterplay. Is it a DPS only? No, it's everybody in the game now applies it, if I'm correct. Since season 1 of this, since season 1 of Overwatch again, or whatever we're in. Rise to the Talon. Actually, a good hog ultimate kind of bursts them back. So you're in a very unique spot now, where as long as you don't feed as okay. So the spot I was gonna say is you had a chance to give it, so you had another attack. Now it's only an overtime situation if you were to have it. There's 17 seconds left on the clock. Your mindset is you need to touch the cart. How do you expect your teammates to be able to survive this if you're not even helping them get there to begin with? You got up here, you're good now. Now what you should do is wait a second. Look at the time. You have time, okay? You're not going to get it. It's not going to matter if you touch this cart at 14 seconds or at 1 second. As long as you touch the cart before the game's over, you're fine. Help your teammates here. Help your teammates get across, right? You made it up here, okay. Now sit up here and heal them for a little bit. Don't. I swear if you run to the cart right now. I'm sorry, and your teammates were the ones feeding. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I hope that you kind of see the situation here and recognize that, like, this is why I always say the one thing that you can focus on is yourself in these games, right? Again, you're going to have frustrating moments from your teammates. Sometimes you're going to have teammates that are going to feed. Sometimes you're going to have those frustrating moments, but sometimes you're also going to be the feeder. And like, if your takeaway from this game was, oh, my DPS and my support were feeding, my other support were feeding, then in order to be able to like learn from a game like this, you also need to recognize and kind of look in the mirror and be like, holy crap, like this is on me too, right? This was, holy, wow, after seeing this now, there's a lot I can fix. So let's start with some of the basics here on what you can fix. When you're on a Yari, I want you to set up on better spots. I know that high ground and gold isn't going to be the same in top 500, but you have a pylon that can self-sustain you. So I like the idea of maybe a high ground spot with a well-placed pylon that heals your teammates and also allows you to be in a safer spot. Enough of this running it down mids part. You did it so many times. Remember to utilize your cooldowns better. Like, for example, like I'm watching you, spam Juno ring sometimes in spots that's not going to help your team. I'm watching you not help your teammates set up. You're expecting your teammates to what? Self-sustain the whole way with a mercy pocket? Like, if you think your DPS are going to survive every team fight when they have a mercy pocket and you're not helping them, there's a lot of things that you can do here. So utilize the cooldowns a little bit better, right? Another thing I want you to also utilize or get better at is timing your torpedoes. I want you to be proactive with them. I do like that. But I want you to time them better. As in, like, not wait an extra 5 seconds for a Roadhog to maybe turn the corner. Get that early burst damage on the Ashe, and that relieves pressure on you. Otherwise, it puts more pressure on you when you're just sitting there waiting. So I want to see you utilize that part of the game better. And then last but not least, remember to time your ultimates better. I felt like there was a window of opportunity to win the third point. It wasn't a guarantee, but I think you had a pretty high chance, 60, 70% to win that. Your Juno ultimate got wasted, and then you just lost that team fight, and the rest was from there. So a lot to work on, but the thing is that I think you can do it, and I think you'll be fine. But I want you to like look at this type of game, utilize this type of game to work on what you can improve on, and stop like, predetermining that the reason why this game was lost because of this teammate. Focus on what you can control, and you're gonna see huge improvements. You got this. You absolutely got this. You like the video? Make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't. Leave a comment. All of that helps. You want to submit your own? My Discord is where to do that. And if you're interested in watching more of these, we have a ton of them. So we're gonna put one here in the bottom left or bottom right or wherever it's on the side. Click it. It's going to be a good one. With that being said, hope you have an amazing day/night.